Good evening, good evening, good evening, Spray Wash. In just a second, we'll get rolling here. Not going to be able to be joined by Ray Burke tonight because he is vacationing. How does that happen? How does he get away with being able to go out and vacation? I think that sucks. No, I get to go vacation here pretty soon too. But they were actually supposed to go on vacation tomorrow, but decided to leave this evening and get an early jump on it. And I think he deserves some time off, and Tanya deserves some time off, and all that kind of fun stuff. So should be a really good time for them. I hope that they have lots and lots and lots of fun. And tonight I'm going to try to have a little bit of fun and do one of my WD rants, if you would. I'm going to talk about all different kinds of stuff. I don't have a total complete agenda. I just have I have some things. I'm going to go over some nitpicking client stuff. I'm going to go over how to basically pre-qualify clients on the phone and in person, like when you're there and you're meeting with them, and just some of the keywords and key things that they say that can help you identify whether they're there for as being price shoppers or if they're there to be, they're more looking for quality. So how do you boil down to that, what it is that they're looking for? I also want to talk about some industry negativity. And what I mean by that is more along the lines of us going after some of the newer guys and some of the newer questions, that kind of a thing. And just kind of going over some of that and how I feel about that, how I think the industry is looking at some of that. I also want to talk a little bit about what makes us stand out differently than the other businesses around us, than our competitors, what it is that we do differently, and do we know what it is that we do differently. Little things about business cards, mentoring, hiring office staff. I'm just going to kind of go willy-nilly all over the place and see what happens. So starting off, I had a question about some nitpicking clients. And when I got into the discussion about nitpicking clients, it was more of an understanding of what is it that that client paid for, and what is it that you described to them before you even got started, right? So the question came up about, I don't want to get too deep into what it was, so let me go a little bit different direction. Basically what it boiled down to was something wasn't done on a job. And the client called and nitpicked and was saying, hey, this is supposed to be done. And then the guy saying, no, that's not part of what our job was. Well, it really boils down to being the contractor's fault, because it is something that could be considered part of it. As an example, I'm going to throw in window screens. My company, when I did the work, we would remove window screens, but the window screens I would charge extra for. And the main reason I did that was because if I popped window screens out, sometimes they would break, sometimes they'd already be damaged. So I would work through that with the homeowner ahead of time. And so when you look at that and you say the homeowner calls you up and says, hey, you didn't remove my window screens, it's really becomes your fault because you didn't have that discussion with them. Are they nitpicking, or is it something that is reasonable to say that that's not part of it? In other words, if they say, well, hey, you didn't clean the driveway. No, we gave you a price on a house wash. You can't cover everything, right? But in something like that, I think you're better to stand your ground on something like that than if they bring up something like window screens and you didn't explain or do that correctly. So anyhow, Mr. Jacob is in the house. I see the one with the hair made it tonight. Yeah, because the other one is on vacay. Took his early vacay. Let me see. I'm supposed to get this one up. Oh, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Wait a minute. I'm supposed to put up one of these. Where the heck did it go? That one. All right, back to that. So yeah, Ray and Tanya went on early vacay. They left this evening to be able to do it. Mitch Woody is in the house, and Wild West Services is here, and Mr. Joshua Dylan Harper is with us tonight. Howdy. Anyhow, so nitpicking clients are not, you have to listen to what it is that they're saying to understand, do they have a legitimate complaint, or are they truly being nitpicky? There are ways to tell even before you start the job, before you even give them a bid. Sometimes you can tell if they're going to be nitpicky, and sometimes just the questions that you ask. those of you that know me know I'm pretty big on answering a question with a question a lot of times, because that's going to be one of the quickest ways to find out a lot of answers to a lot of different questions and boil things down to what they kind of should be. And so what I mean by that is if you're given a question, go over here and do this. See, so tonight, since I'm by myself, I got to make these things pop up by myself. So I like to answer questions with questions, and that's kind of along the same way with when you're talking about trying to find out whether or not the person that you're talking to, if they're looking for the highest price, or if they're looking for the lowest price, or if they're looking for the highest quality, they're looking for the lowest quality. And I know sometimes people say, well, there's no way somebody's looking for the highest price. Well, I'll disagree with you there. I've had clients that's all that they want is the highest price. They're not even quality shopping. They're price shopping on the high end because they're rich and they want to make sure that they say, hey, I spent X for this. Okay, that's few and far between, I admit. But getting to the point of whether or not they're looking for, if they're price shopping or if they're quality shopping, you can do that either over the phone or in person or whatever, but it's a matter of a series of questions that you need to ask, or that you should ask, depending on what it is that you're doing. So for me, I like to find out, first of all, what's the reason for the cleaning to begin with, because that is going to help me boil down what it is that they are doing. So as an example, if somebody calls me up and they say, yeah, I'm looking to get the front of my roof cleaned, okay, you can automatically jump to, oh, they're being cheap. But that may not be the case. Part of it could be simply that they have no clue what it's going to cost to get it cleaned, and so they think it's really expensive, and so, or that's the only place that they notice it. They don't notice it on the back or the sides or whatever, so they only want the front of the roof clean. Now it's your job to pop in and ask them the questions, right? Well, are you looking to only get the front of the roof cleaned because that's the only side that's dirty, or is there some other reason? And then let that, well, yeah, that's the only place where I see it. Great, okay. This is where I'm going to beat out the guy that doesn't go and physically do the estimates. I like to go out, and I like to, especially a client like that, I want to meet them at that job site. The reason being is very simply that I can now walk around and I can show them that the roof is dirty on the other sides. Sometimes it's really bad and they just don't realize it. So being able to walk them through and show them, I'm now going to get a higher ticket price from them. I'm going to sell them on the whole job most of the time. But let's say, for example, that you call them up or they call you up. They say, yeah, I just want to get the front of my roof cleaned. Oh, okay, great. Can I ask you why? And they say something like, well, yeah, I mean, we're putting the house up for sale. We know the rest of it's dirty, but we're just looking to get the curb appeal taken care of. You know, we're just trying to get it ready for the real estate agent to take their pictures. Okay, that right there should be a light bulb that goes off in your head, right? The light bulb that goes off in your head is that they're probably going to be the cheap customer. The reason they're going to be the cheap customer is they only want that front. They're only trying to get the curb appeal. They're trying to get it done and over with just to get that picture taken, nice picture. They don't care about anything else, right? So the odds are that right away is a clear tell that they're going to be on the lower end of things. Now let's flip-flop that a little bit, and let's say that they say, we've got a wedding coming up, and you know they're going to be standing out front taking pictures, or we got plenty of guests coming over, or you know it's Christmas is coming. Whatever that, if it's an event, the odds are that they're more looking for quality than price. Now that's not always 100% true, but you can still just keep boiling your questions down to find out what, you know, if that's the case. But more often than not, especially if they say wedding, they want to make sure everything is perfect. They want to make sure it's smooth, and you can sell them on that. You know, for me, I like to attack things head on sometimes, and I hate negative, right? But I know that I need to use the negative to bring the positive sometimes. And so for me, if they say, well, yeah, we're trying to get ready for a wedding, I'm going to use that opportunity to bring in some negatives. And what I mean by the negatives on that is simply that, great, so I imagine that you probably don't want all of your plants out front dead. What? No, I don't want my plants dead. Great. Let me explain to you why I brought that up. And again, this is in an area with no rain gutters, but I could even do that if you had rain gutters. So then I can start explaining what it is that we do. I've caught their attention by saying something extremely negative. So I guess you don't want all your plants dead. I mean, that probably figures, right? And typically I'm going to capture their attention, which is going to allow me to move on with my sales pitch. All right. Anyhow, Jeremy Moody's in the house. Wild West says, I tell them this is what I'm going to do. Any questions? Okay, I'm getting started. Jump into it and go for it. Then he follows up to say, I always ask, what is your biggest concern? They will show me what bothers them the most. And that very, very much so is a very key thing. When somebody mentions something to you, or you say, what is your biggest concern? And they tell you, and then you start to do a walk around and they mention something. These are their hot, what I like to call their hot buttons. These are the things that are going to set them off one direction or another. And sometimes what they say isn't what they mean, and you have to follow along with that a little bit sometimes. I'm going to go so far as to say that if they mention it, it means something to them, okay? Even if they mention it in a negative light. As an example, let's say that let's go back to that whole thing where you're going to be spraying the roof. They've got a wedding coming up, and they say, yeah, we got a wedding coming up. And then I say something like, you know, hey, great. Then I imagine you don't want all your plants to die. And then they might say something like, yeah, well, all of them but that one. I really wish you could kill that plant over there. My husband planted that thing, and I hate that thing with a passion. Okay. That is still their hot button. You need to protect that plant, even though she said, I wish you would kill it. Now, again, you gotta play with it and listen to what my words are. And I'm gonna try to get you to listen to what their words are. What did she say? She said that my husband planted that there. So even though she truly may want it dead, the odds are the husband doesn't want it dead. And so you don't want to piss off either side. And then you just got to bring it into light and say, well, you know, our job is to make sure we protect everything, do an awesome job for you. We're not here to kill anything. We're going to do the best job that we can to make sure we protect everything. But the reason I bring it up is, you know, that what we're using can kill your plants, could stain this, could do it. You can bring up whatever you want at that point. But just remember that whatever they say is their hot button. I'd also encourage you, if it's a plant that they say something like, you know, that plant right there was something that was given to us because our niece passed away, our son passed away, our dog passed away, our pet gecko passed away, whatever it is. If they bring up something like that, you should be making a note of that to really protect and cover that thing. Even though you don't feel like, you know, it's just a house wash, you know, that's a hardy plant, I don't care about that. I would still cover it anyhow. I would take that extra precaution, and I would let them know that I'm going to do that, because that's going to help me make the sale on the higher end of things. So that's something just to keep in mind. Anytime they say something, that's their hot button. Going through with, like, if they're going to say something like, well, yeah, I'm wanting to get 3 estimates. Okay, you can take that in a couple different ways. You can take that as in they're just looking for the lowball price. They're not going for quality. Most of the times I find that those clients aren't going for the lowball. They're also not wanting that highest price. They're typically your middle of the road. They want 3 estimates to get a good understanding of what pricing is to make sure that they're getting, you know, a fair deal. They're not necessarily always going for the cheapest. Unless they say that, I'm gonna get several estimates. I'm just trying to find, you know, I'm just trying to find somebody to get this done. If they're giving you that type of an attitude and that type of a feeling, they're definitely going for the lowest price. And then that's when I feel like it's a really good time to throw out the I'm not the cheapest price thing. And it is extremely effective in weeding them out pretty quickly sometimes. Because I'll say, hey, great, Mr. Mitch, hey, I appreciate that, but I just want to let you know up front, we're definitely not going to be the cheapest you're going to find in the market. We are the best, or one of the best in the marketplace here. We do a good, thorough job. We do a good, thorough job every time. We've got good quality employees that care about you and care about your property. So if that's not important to you, and the price is okay, then maybe we shouldn't be doing this, because you can turn them around a little bit by bringing up the negative cycle of it, right? Our guys really care about your property, and our guys are going to, do this extra stuff for you. You're going to put that mindset in, or that little thing in their brain that says, hey, by hiring the cheapest guy, I may not get a quality job. Most people know that already, but bringing that home sometimes can really help bring that pricing factor around. They're still not going to go for 1,000 when this guy's down here at 200, right? But then you might be able to get that somewhere in between thing if that's what you do. Though I don't necessarily care what my competitors' prices are. All right, so Mitch says, it's so true. I don't know how many times I've had to turn into a legitimate marriage counselor between spouses. Abso-freaking-lutely. Man, I'm surprised anybody came up with that one. I've been in business since 1992. Maybe not soft washing, but I can tell you, I have been in the middle of so many marriage counseling disputes, if you would, that it's not even funny. And sometimes it's the guy, sometimes it's the girl, and they can just be out there. But you got to try to find a way to meet in the middle. And what I do is I try to just say, hey, this is the right way to do this job, and that's how I'm going to try to approach it. Maybe get past that counseling session. And if you can feel them out, and I caution you on some of this, but I like to go with what's called ABE, A-B-E. So there used to be a thing called the ABCs of sales. It's still out there. It's not used to be a thing. It's still a thing. ABCs are always be closing. I like to go with what I coined the ABEs, always be engaging. And so in a case like that, where you get a husband and wife bickering back and forth, and you're kind of like you need to somehow turn it around, and you have to feel it out, because sometimes they're not. You being that mediator, you can be that. Look, I'm just here to give you all an estimate, and are y'all still looking for one, or because I'm just going to kind of pick my own path, find a good tactful way. If they're jokingly picking at each other, then you could say something like, look, just so y'all know, I'm charging you right now $300 an hour as your marriage counselor. So your estimate is going to be $465 if you quit bickering, and $975 if you keep bickering. You can bring lightful things up. You got to be really careful with that, because you get that into the wrong crowd and you're going to be toast. All right. James Brown says, I had a guy want me to spray the poison ivy in his yard a couple of years ago. Lots of luck. Yes. Absolutely. And there are those times when you get that, and they are dead serious. They want that stuff dead. One of the things that I have done in the past, depending on what it is, right, I'll let them know, yeah, I know you'd like for us to kill it, but the problem here is that we can not only kill that, we can kill your soil as well, and we don't really want to do that. And then if they say, no, look, and you can tell that they're serious. Hey, I want everything here as dead can be. Then you're like, okay, sign here. I'm happy to throw a little extra sauce down, but I would get them to sign on that dotted line. If they're telling you to kill something and you're agreeing to kill it, just make sure you get that in writing, because otherwise you kill it and the wife comes out and says, you killed my favorite ivies growing up the side of my house. I didn't know they were poisonous. I didn't care. I liked it because it kept my grandkids away. You gotta get it in writing if you're going to do something like that. That's that. All right. So nitpicking clients, we kind of touched on that a little bit. I want to go over some. I hate this. I don't want to talk about this, but I want to talk about it at the same time, because we have so many people divided in this industry, right? We have so many people that are going to say one thing on this hand and something else on this hand, and it's something that, in one hand, I don't want to talk about, but at the same time, I want to get it out there. I want to talk about it a little bit. And that's bashing of the new guys, okay? There are some really stupid questions out there. I get it. We see some really stupid pictures out there. I get it. And, coming down on them is kind of cool, but at the same time, you got to remember where you started from, right? And in virtually all of this. Now, I think there's a difference, right, though? Like when I very first started, we didn't have all the Facebook groups. There might have been some other groups out there, But I knew that question was going to come up. James Brown's already hitting me with what is SH just to throw me off. See how you are. So anyhow, you know, there are a lot of things out there that you can I just want to try to stop bashing on people so much. Sometimes I feel like, you know, I hear it from both sides. Well, you know, these new guys are killing the industry. Yeah, but these new guys are coming anyhow, and we have to either try to squash them, try to keep them down, which then they're still coming though. This is where my problem is. They're still coming. I started somewhere. Okay, I didn't know all this stuff. Now, the only advantage or difference there is that I went out and tried to educate myself first, and I feel like a lot of the new guys don't do that. They don't even try to educate themselves. But in some cases, when you see these pictures or these things or whatever, and especially when they've already screwed something up, like, hey, there's the one floating around right now where the guy totally screwed up the Galvalume roofing, right? I mean, to me, on some of that, it's where in the world is their mindset? When you start spraying something, let me go a different direction with this. When you start spraying bleach and something goes wrong, stop. Don't add more bleach to it. It's that freaking simple. It should be that simple, right? It should be where your brain kicks in, and it doesn't matter if you're spraying bleach. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. If it doesn't look right or something is going wrong, don't add more fuel on top of the fire. It doesn't make sense. Stop it. Okay. That's kind of where I'm going with it. I want to try to find look, I'm not worried about hurting somebody's feelings. That's not it. It's just, I want to try to curtail some of the negativity that I see out there and the bashing and the blah, 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 right? Quit hitting on each other, give solid advice. And look, there's a lot of these new guys that there's a lot of the old guys that don't want to listen to advice. It doesn't matter whether they're new or old. Some of them just don't want to freaking listen. And that's okay if they don't want to listen. I mean, we kicked somebody out the other day because they didn't want to listen, right? It wasn't about the topic per se. It was about the attitude. And I mean, if you don't want to listen and you're not here for the education side of it, I mean, then it's more of a, you know, and you want to belittle and all. Just get the heck out of here. That's the way they are. Robert says most of them are mine. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Robert. Sorry. Scott says sodium hypochlorite. Yeah, there you go. Look, we had a guru in the industry, self-professed guru, pop up, and SH, and he would always say it's sodium hyperchlorite. And he was trying to teach classes and do stuff and all this kind of stuff. And I don't see him anymore. I blocked him a while back, but it was sodium hyperchlorite. Hyperchlorite. No. Sodium hypochlorite. Anyhow. All right. So Wild West says, always try to help so that they don't make the rest of us look bad. And that's the point that I'm really trying to get to, right? That these guys are coming anyhow, and we can give them bad information knowing that we're trying to make them fail. Okay. But I think that hurts us probably more than them becoming really good washers. Okay. If they become really good washers, then it helps keep the negativity of the damaging effects to a minimum, right? Because there isn't as much damage if guys are out there being educated, and all it can really do is elevate, right? We've gone over this probably 500 million times, where you literally have buyers for every single market. You've got the guy that only wants to pay $99. You got the guy that wants to pay $999, and then you got the guy that wants to pay $9,999. And there's a market for each of those. And all you have to do, in my opinion, is just stay in your lane, right? You can help convert some of the 99s into the 999s, and you can convert some of the 9,000s into the 999s, right? But for the most part, you pick your lane of where you want to be in. Even if it's all of the lanes, you can get drunk and go all over all the lanes. It doesn't matter, right? But I guess for me, and I'm not going to beat this horse to death, but for me, it's quit worrying about everybody else, quit looking over your shoulder, that kind of thing. I guess that's where I would go. But try to be nice. That's, I guess, where I'm at. Robert Vogel says, can we talk insurance? What company is a good starter for insurance? Robert, that's going to depend on what type of insurance, because there are, you got your workers' comp insurance, you got your general liability insurance, and then you've got your commercial vehicle insurance. And so for me, depends again where you're starting, but I would still say Joe Walters. If you're looking for general liability, I would say Joe Walters is probably still the standard go-to company for starting general liability insurance in this industry. Even though Liberty Mutual walked out on them, from what I'm hearing, it's still probably the best. They're probably the most knowledgeable in this realm that we know of. Okay, if you're talking about workers' comp, I mean, states are different, things are different. I personally would encourage you to maybe going into a PEO, which is a professional employment organization, something like Paychex, whatever. They may or may not be able to offer you the workers' comp, but that, or just calling up your local business insurance guy and talking to him about the workers' comp. Also find out about maybe a tiered workers' comp. Find out if you can do a reporting system, reporting when you go over 15 feet, that sort of thing. That can save you quite a bit. Scott Cleansa says, I'm a new guy too. We all are. Scott then goes on to say, that's why I have my channel, my journey of owning a business in this industry. The problem is the local people who are popping up because they saw me on the tube. Yeah, hey, but you know what? They're coming anyhow. It doesn't matter. They're coming one way or another. They're coming. They're coming because of COVID and they lost their jobs and they're ambitious or whatever, which is few and far between that I find that are actually ambitious. They go out and they get the government money. But anyhow, that's just that part of it. So yeah, I mean, look, I've been accused of that same thing. My YouTube stuff. Back when I really got into doing the YouTube stuff, I got blamed for a lot of it. And they're coming anyhow. That was kind of my point. I appreciate that, Mr. David. Clinton says, love the content. Just started watching you guys a couple weeks ago. Keep it coming. I'm in Seacom, Washington State. Welcome, 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 welcome from Washington. You got a couple nice guys over there in the Seattle area, especially. You've also got who's over there in Spokane is yeah, Justin Monk's over in Spokane. But you've got a lot of good guys surrounding you there in that area, just so that you know that. And if you need help finding some of them, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you get some of their information so that you guys can connect. To me, that's a really good thing. Scott says, y'all listen to this man. He has helped me a ton. I appreciate it very much so, Scott. Way to go, Scott. There you go. Let's see. Most of us are one-man shows. Absolutely. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a one-man show. In some instances or some thoughts, I wish I would have never gone past a one-man show. Though I would say I would have always had a ground guy working with me. The profit margins are so much higher. And to a certain degree, there's a lot less stress, I think, when you're a one-man band. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being the one-man band. There's nothing wrong with being the 20-truck guy. Teek says, off the wall, and I assume it is state by state. Any insight on teenagers working for pressure washing services? Oh, yes. See a few people with younger ones with them. Any experience with this? Yes, I've actually got a decent amount of experience with this. Actually, it's funny. So I was going to bring one of them on tonight. When Ray said that he wasn't going to make it, I asked a very young person to come on with me to talk about that very subject. And yeah, so look, you have to go by certain rules. I definitely encourage you to find out what your state rules are, what your local parish or county rules are. It's going to depend on their age. It's going to depend on school season, you know, if it's school time, if it's not school time. There are a lot of different rules, breaks that you have to give them depending on their age, a lot of different things that you have to watch when you hire somebody that is young. And when I say young, under the age of 18, you can't even hire them, I believe, if they're under 16. I think the youngest that I had working for me at one time was either 14 or 15, I don't remember. But the rules that we had to follow were pretty stringent that you had to deal with to make sure that you weren't abusing those children, kind of a thing. So there's that. Oh, sure, you can't be on here live, but you can be on here and chat with me, see how you are. There are literally hundreds of Facebook and YouTube pressure washing groups, absolutely. And many give horrible info. I already know what he's going to say next, right? And that is absolutely, you know, Ray and I talk about this a lot, where there's so much information that's coming out there. And just like I said earlier about the one YouTube guru that popped up, and was for him, it was sodium hyperchlorite. Sodium hyperchlorite. I'll never get past that, just because I was always so that one was so funny to me. Sodium hyperchlorite. You don't even know what you're saying, and you're trying to teach people. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, here's a plug for Ray and I. I mean, one of the things that you get with Ray and I is no fluff. I mean, if we don't know what we're talking about, we just simply say, dude, that's not mine. I had a phone call today. Well, matter of fact, I had I can't tell who it's from. I was going to, but I can't. I had a call from somebody today talking about window cleaning. They wanted to get into window cleaning, and they were asking me my opinions on window cleaning and interior window cleaning and exterior window cleaning. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm too pretty to clean windows. That's just it. I never enjoyed it. You got to look like Jacob in order to clean windows, a window licker like him, or somebody like Nick Weisenberger, right? You got to have that kind of appearance in order. Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of them guys. No, I love them guys. I'm just not the guy to ask window questions to, because that's not my specialty. It's not what I do. I don't have a bunch of experience in it. And that's why I say with Raymond and I, you're going to get no fluff. If we don't know, we just tell you we don't know, and try to help get you to the right person that maybe will know, because we don't want to fluff things up. We're not gonna, and there's too many people out there that feel like they have to have the answer for everything, and you follow them and they've got some good advice on this, and then they step off into something that they have no clue what they're talking about. And we see it all the time on some of the groups where, just throw more bleach on it. I saw one the other day. Matter of fact, there was a stain in some siding, and how do I get rid of it? And the guy says, put 100% bleach on it and leave it. Don't rinse it. I mean, I deleted the comment. It was in the Academy, because that's to me, that's complete ignorance. And it's showing a complete ignorance. Vinyl siding, you don't use 100% bleach on to begin with. There's really never any need for that. But anyhow, there's that. RPC says, me too. Let's see, one more on that one. I wish I kept my company small. You know, there are some big advantages to keeping your company small. There's big advantages both ways. I think for me, if I were to do it all over again, I think I would want to either be a 2-truck company and that's it, or a 3-truck company and that's it, and just stay right there. I think I would probably opt more for the 2-truck company size. I think that's where I had the most fun. And for me, my problem is I like to work. I like to be on the truck. And so that's the other side of it, right? You have to, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, or if you would rather be the office guy. Look, I've had plenty of guys call me up and say, Doug, look, I'm trying to scale my company. But here's the thing, I really like washing, so I don't know how to scale my company and still wash. Dude, some of these answers are actually fairly easy, right? You have to find somebody that's better than you at what it is that you don't want to do. I can tell you right now, I sucked at the office, okay? I don't like office stuff. I don't like punching the numbers in all day. I don't like sitting there and working in QuickBooks and all that kind of thing. So I had to find somebody better than me, which is pretty much anybody when it comes to QuickBooks, because I suck at it, right? So you have to find somebody and put them in those positions. If you suck at sales, find somebody to do sales, right? It's not as hard as you might think on some of it. All right, Mitch says, I'm signing up in about a week. I'm owing 57,000 right now and am broke. Laughing. Yep, been there, done that. You know how it goes. Absolutely. SprayWashPro.com. Join SprayWash Pro now. I've never seen that link. SprayWash. Joins. Oh yeah. That is the right link. There it is. All righty, now I feel stupid. Philip says Simple is noted. Look, and this, you're one of the guys that he should be in touch with, right? Okay, so Simple is noted for the best design and quality water-fed pole, and even coming out with a total USA one at 80% USA made. Now for cost, I'd say $12.75 for a 40-foot bed. Helping in testing, sell for $1,500. You know, and you may or may not like this, but like I know Perry Tate's got some good stuff. Philip Simple, you know, all that kind of stuff. You've got Jersey that does window cleaning resource. Those are all the areas where I pointed him, because I'm like, that's just not me. I don't know that stuff well enough. I own a good water-fed pole system, and I did some water-fed polling, and I know a little bit about it, but I know just enough to be dangerous. I don't know enough to teach about it. Jim Bob says, we're going to stay at 2 trucks, mainly because of the labor market. Absolutely. That's something that I'll be delving into here pretty soon. It's at the Huge Convention. One of the classes that I'll be doing for the Huge Convention is about getting beyond 2 trucks. You know, you get stuck in a rut. The 2 to 3 trucks, we tend to get stuck in a rut, and we have trouble getting out of them. And a lot of that has to do with employees. And I'm going to talk about that in my class at the Huge Convention there. That is for the Huge Convention. And again, I think that one is going to be titled Getting Past the 1 and 2 Truck Roadblock. We will chat about employees. That's not something I love to talk about, by the way. I have 12. Does that mean 12 employees or 12 trucks or 12 jobs? Rusty says, hey, Dougie Doo, back at you, Mr. Rusty. Rusty will be at the Huge. There'll be several of you there at the Huge. And I think Rusty's bringing some of his employees. Zero water-fed pole is my choice. That's James Brown. James, that is the one that I have, or had. I don't have Squat anymore. But that is the system that I had, was the zero water-fed pole. And then I had 2 poles. I had the 18-footer and the 40 or 50-footer. I think it's a 50-footer, but now it's a 40-footer because 2 of the sections got jammed together because we used it for cleaning mud daubers. And that's not a smart thing to do, because if you get it all the way up there with all the mud daubers and the dirt gets on there, it can get jammed in between there. You got to make sure you rinse that thing off really, really good. So there you go. Raymond Burke, preach on those cheap guys. He always does. He loves to preach about them cheap guys. James Brown says, I use a subcontractor when I have too much work or I need help. And he uses me too. We met on this channel. Look, and that's what the Huge Convention is all about. I hate to always sound like a broken record. Oh, my man Jeff's back on here. But at the same time, you know, the Huge Convention is where you meet your competitors that can become your business partners without having a business partner. That's how you should look at some of your competitors, as long as they're as good as you are. Jeff says, been an owner-operator always, now looking at hiring a helper. What a nightmare. It can be, but for me, I also look at it, Jeff, to say, you know, what is the goal of hiring a helper? Are you going to go for 2 trucks? If you're going to go for 2 trucks, I say hire 2 lead techs. And the reason being is because in today's day and age, today's market, they're not both going to work out, number one. And number two, if you can get them both to where they can run a truck, now you can hire assistant techs for them and branch off with 2 trucks. And then now you're back into the sales position, and or you do 2.5 trucks where you do the sales position, and you know, you go out and run a truck whenever you want to. Wild West says, with 2 trucks, you can tackle a large job and clean a lot of homes. Absolutely. You can do that with 1 truck. I had my truck, what I called it a commercial truck, set up to do, it had 2 booster pumps on it, a 12-volt pump, and then an 8 GPM pressure washer. So with that, we could really knock out some work. We could simply, you know, if we came up on a building, when I first got the boosters, right, got them set up, and I had 3 large buildings to do, and I had bid the buildings at about $5 grand a piece, so it was 15 grand roughly for those 3 buildings, right? And I had planned on, you know, basically spending the 3 days on those buildings. Well, the way I set the truck up with the 2 boosters and everything else, and And I mean, having the boosters on there, I mean, we were kicking tail. I could literally clean all 3 of those buildings in one day. We had to slow down just because I felt bad. I'm like, man, this is awesome. We're kicking tail. So anyhow, those are the kind of things I like. But yeah, if you set your truck up correctly, and look, if you're going to the huge convention and you're a pro member, don't forget, as pro members, you're getting that free rig building class with Jason Ayers, and we're going to do it. We're going to try to do a little, like a mastermind session after that, a little happy hour kind of thing going on, and spend some time as pros, kind of going over some stuff. So definitely be there for that. Rusty says 3, me, myself, and I. I thought you were bringing somebody for some reason. I did. I don't know why. I thought you were. Anyhow, getting too old to keep up. I get it. I really, really get it. It's one of the reasons I sold out was because I got physical limitations that are taking over, and I needed to. Again, I love to wash. Absolutely love to wash. And I would prefer to do a house over a roof. Excuse me. I prefer to do roof cleaning over house washing pretty much any day of the week. I love to roof clean. And I like to get up on the roof and that kind of thing. And I got some issues with my legs too. So really it was one of them deals where I really needed to step away. And that was almost the best way to keep myself from getting hurt further, I guess. Wild West says, I'm talking about having more people for the larger jobs. Look, that's where teaming up with local competitors, where you get to working with each other. If you don't need people all the time, or they can come in and help you and you can go in and help them, it can be a really good marriage over time. You don't discount the power of relationships, even with your local competitors. All right, so let me ask you this. What makes you stick out, or what makes you different than the other company? What is it that you do that is better than the other company, okay, than your competitors? This is something I like to work with, because for me, sometimes I've literally even had the people ask me, well, what makes you better than the other company, okay? And the one thing I don't ever want to do, there's one company I will steer people away from, and I'll explain, look, I will give you the name of 5 other companies just to get you away from that company. You don't have to use my company. I'll give you 5 other names just to stay away from that company. I don't want to get into it, but I'll give you 5 other names. So that's how I'll do it, just to keep it that way. But on the other side of that, if they're asking me what makes me better, different, unique than the other company, I prefer to take the total high ground on this one, right? So for me, I just simply say, you know what? I don't know what the other company does. I can sit here and I could badmouth them, I could trash them, I could do all these different things. I know this. There are a lot of guys out there that do a great job. And there are a lot of guys out there that don't do such a great job. So let me do this. Let me just tell you what it is that my company does, explain the work ethic that we have, explain to you how we go through drug screens, background checks, and these are the things that we do to keep up with the industry. This is the education that we have. I get into all those kinds of things and the positive things, and then finding out what it is that they want, and then getting into detail about those things. Look, again, this is all about, if you were here in the beginning, the wedding thing, right? About not killing the plants. And I can go into those things of what my company does, and not necessarily have to get into the negativity of another company or saying something that I don't know to be true. Most of the time, when a contractor is hit with what makes you different than the other company, the very first thing that comes out of our mouths, I hate it, is, well, I do better work, and I'm insured, and I have dark hair. I don't have dark hair. So my point is that everybody that starts huffing and puffing, you lose, right? Because that's what every contractor says. Every contractor says the same damn thing. Oh, I'm insured. I have a license. I this, I that. You're basically saying that the other guy doesn't. And then when he shows up and he can prove that he has a license and he has insurance, I think you kind of look cheap or stupid. My opinion, right? So I prefer to take the high ground on that and make sure that I let people know, well, look, I don't know what it is that they do, but let me tell you what it is that I do. And here's why I think you should hire me, okay? Get into that kind of stuff. James Brown says, did you pre-qualify with a down payment and did you keep it if they canceled the job? I think that I've only ever required a deposit maybe once or twice. I know once, but I'm thinking there might have been two, possibly a third. I don't think so, though. And the reason being is very simply this, that for me, I have to look at who it is that I'm working for. That's number one. Number two, did they sign a contract with me? Most of the times on those larger jobs, I'm dealing with, say, a corporate entity. Or like, look, one of my very first large jobs was, I still remember to this day, it was a church. And we did everything at this church. And the bill was a little over $12,000, okay? Did I take a deposit? No, I didn't. And the reason I didn't was simply that if the church is going to nail me, I mean, you know, is it possible that they could do that? Yes. And this is where I've also been in sales a long time. I can kind of read people a little bit. And so I have to look at the person and say, this person's being genuine and honest with me. And it's a corporate thing, right? So they had to get approval from a board and all this kind of stuff. So even if I took a deposit, you can. And again, I know for a fact that I've taken one. I think we may have taken two or three, but for the most part, I don't worry about that. And then we have been out of pocket, you know, 150 grand in accounts receivable, where there's no deposits on the books. Part of that is also building your company up to be financially able to withstand those. I know I see a lot of guys that, you know, they get rolling and they say, man, I can't grow my company. I can't grow my company. I can't figure out why. And I'll ask them, how much money do you have in the bank? Oh, man, I hardly have anything. I got like 10 grand in the bank. Okay, so I'm looking at your truck and your boat behind your truck. Not that I'm faulting you for having those things, man. We need to have fun, but you don't have enough money to survive these certain things. You need to think about that as you build your business. If you don't have the money to grow, you can't grow. If you're spending it on your toys, I mean, we want our toys, we want all that stuff, but I'm just encouraging you, hey, maybe think about what your end goal is before you go out buying the new set of jet skis. Joe, picking on somebody, obviously. Did I pre-qualify? Yes, I pre-qualified by the type of business that they are or the type of entity that they are, and down payments. Very rarely did I ever have jobs that canceled. They would get postponed maybe due to weather or whatever, but very, very rarely did they ever cancel. And if they did, I had to work to back up that lacking. And that's where growing your business to a certain level is. I saw a post from Gene O'Neill. I'm going to pick on him, right? He went out to do a paver ceiling job. I saw the picture. I love that post. I love it. He's got a picture of himself out there. He's in his boat. He's taken off in his boat and the wake is behind him. And he's like, yep, paver ceiling job canceled. I know what I'm doing. He's out fishing, right? You have to be able to build yourself to a position where you can afford to see those jobs postponed or canceled all to begin with, and know that you're still going to be okay. Let's see. Jim Bob says, we stop at traffic lights. A competitor was in front of us in our van and went through a red light rather than sit at the same light with us behind him. You know what? I'll encourage you at four-way stops even, right? Four-way stop. You come up. The guy on the right has the right of way. Let's say you're the guy on the right and you're in a wrapped truck. Let them go. Wave at them. Hey, come on. Have a nice day, right? And then they see, oh, hey, that's that spray wash thing. That's awesome. I like that. You know, you're building your reputation, right? So here, Jim Bob saying he stopped at the light. The other guy went through. I was with another company doing a ride along with another company not too long back, and their driver blew through the red light. Okay, blew through the red light. I mean, now he was in a turn lane and he was turning. He was just following all the traffic, so he felt like he was good. The other traffic, you know, is now waiting for, and they're laying on their horn. And I'm like, dude, you're in a wrapped truck here doing that. That's the ultimate in ignorance for you. That shouldn't happen, right? And I know that person's on here, so there's that. Jim Bob says, we carry workers' comp insurance. Absolutely. Wild West says, I even post compliments my competitors' posts on Facebook. Okay, I'll give you my opinion on that. If you're posting as Wild West Wash Services and you post on my page, I'm not going to be happy with you, and I'm going to let you know it. I had that happen with several times here in my market. One of them, I didn't actually know that when he posted, I didn't realize who it was, and I sent a nasty little note, whatever. But I'm not there where everybody could see, obviously. But here's the point in that if it's on my Facebook page, your posting is giving my people your information, and I'm gonna view that very, very negatively. Now, if you're posting as Jim and it's not obvious that you are with Cajun Soft Wash or Wild West Services or whatever it is, I may not be as upset with that. But if you're posting on my Facebook page, my Facebook group with my people, and you're promoting, I mean, you're not promoting, you're saying something good about my company, I'm still going to take that negative because you're still promoting yourself on my page, if that makes any sense. Maybe I read that wrong. I even post compliments on my competition post. Yeah, so I was saying that correctly. I got a toy this year, says Jim Bob. Yes, I know you got a, what did you get? You got a Dodge Charger or Challenger or something like that? I think you got a couple of toys. You're making too much money, Jim Bob. Is that possible? Yeah. Wild West says, I'm so broke I can't even pay attention. There you go. And then he says, no, I post just me. Absolutely. Okay, so that's where it changes the thing a little bit, and I'm good with that as long as it's not something that's the other. So I agree with that. And then Jim Bob says it is a Challenger that he got. All right, we're running late. We only got about 10 minutes left to make sure I get out of here on time. Next thing I want to talk about is hiring office staff. Okay, the reason I want to bring this up is because there have been some questions about this, and again, it's more about growth of the company. And I got to write the acronym down because I can't just rattle it off. ATDP is something Ray and I say all the time. ATDP, ATDP. If I could drive that into your head, ATDP, answer the damn phone, right? If you're too busy on jobs and all that, and you just can't get to the phone, I mean, having somebody there in the office, even if it's something that's an answering service or something like that, can be so beneficial to your company. How many times have you heard? And this has to do a lot with, getting past that 1 and 2 trucks, right? That roadblock of the 1 and 2 trucks. If you don't answer the damn phone, you're going to have a hard time getting past that 1 and 2 trucks. Because first of all, you quit, and now that person is going to go and they're going to find somebody else because you didn't answer the phone, right? So I strongly encourage you, if you can't get to the phone, sorry, my throat just went dry. If you can't get to the phone in time because you're so busy, then you really need to look at office staff. So one of the things that I hear is, well, I can't afford them right now. I can't afford them. Okay. Well, especially if you got that brand new boat in the driveway, you probably shouldn't have. If you want to grow your business, if you don't, that's something different, right? Again, I'm not picking on people for having boats, but I pick on you for having gargoyle socks. Anyhow. So my point in this is that person that's answering the phone for you is going to create sales. Okay, she may not make the sale or he may not make the sale, but having somebody answer the phone generally leads to sales. So if, as an example, you're paying that person, let's say it's $600 a week, and let's say your average ticket is $200. Okay, 2, 4, 6. She needs to help you land 3 jobs to pay for herself every week. That's it. If you boil it down to numbers, it makes it so much easier for you, right? If you're paying her somewhere around $600 a week, right? I think that's $1,250, $1,550. I don't remember what it is. I did the math a while ago. But if not, all you have to do is get her to help you create 3 sales. If your bottom line, if your average ticket is $200, that's it. Okay. I know my average ticket was like $1,100. Okay. So I wouldn't have to have even, I mean, if she can help me land 1 job, she's paid for herself. Okay. So that's one of those ways to get yourself started. And sometimes to me, it's even about changing our mindsets a little bit in how we look at things. And even with myself with the employee market, the way that it is, I mean, I'm going to say some bad stuff that some people probably aren't going to like at the huge convention about employees and our mindsets on employees, because a lot of it's really our fault, even though there's a lot of crappy people out there and a lot of guys that don't want to work. Some of us are just looking in the wrong places or doing the wrong things, though the market is crap. I mean, that's a fact. It is crap. So anyhow, that's my viewpoint on that. All right. So anyhow, I think I am going to call it a night. We're at right at about an hour. I'd like to try to get these things to close up before 7 o'clock my time, which is 8 o'clock. And there we go. And the steamy turd says, "Ah, crap, I'm late. Whoops, wrong account." That's funny. I said the same crap. There you go. All right. Look, anybody got any questions before I go? Countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I really appreciate y'all. Appreciate you listening to Ray and I. I know Ray's not here tonight, but I really appreciate y'all following us. Don't forget, we got the huge convention coming up. We have the basics class, which is an introduction to soft washing and roof cleaning. That will be the first class on the 18th. That kicks off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that runs until 11 o'clock. Price for that class is $199. If you are like the next class after that will be the plant and property protection class, which is $499. Or if you're a pro member, that class is what, $249.50. It's half price. And also with the plant and property class, please don't forget, we are giving everybody that does the plant and property class there at the huge the free government sales class, and that is a really good class for definitely learning to bid on commercial jobs, how to get bids on commercial jobs, where to look for jobs, commercial jobs. It's a really good thing to have. So just so you know, you get that for free. And then the last class will be with Jason Ayers, and we will be doing rig building, a little bit of masterminding, all that kind of stuff, and that is for pros only. MTH says, lots of luck, I'm back, and that he'll have to listen. Yeah, because we're just about out of here. Wild West says later. Jim Bob says later. And MTH says, Doug, I asked the insurance company about wrap for the vehicle, and they definitely said they'd cut me off if I don't get a commercial policy. Yeah, you know what? Some companies are absolutely going to be that way. That's why we said it the last time, right? They if you're using it for commercial purposes like that, and it's not the right policy, they can cut you off and they can deny claims. And how sucky would that be? RPC says, how can I get a hold of you? You can get Doug at spraywashacademy.com, Doug at spraywashacademy.com, or Dougie Do here on Facebook. Just send me an instant message. Go from there. I see that you're on YouTube. But Doug at spraywashacademy.com, Doug at spraywashacademy.com. Facebook user says, thanks, Dougie. Hey, I really appreciate y'all, and peace out. We'll see you on, I don't know if I'll be here Monday or not. Ray might be on his own on Monday. The reason being is because I'm going to a poker tournament that starts Saturday. It actually started today, but they have 4 day ones, if you know anything about poker. And so they've got Thursday is day one, Friday is day one, Saturday is day one, but they're having 2 day ones, and then Sundays they bring everybody together. And then there's another tournament on Monday, another one on Tuesday, another one on Wednesday. So I'm going for that poker series, and I'm going to enjoy myself and have fun, and that's what I'm going to do. So there you go. So I may or may not be here next Monday or Thursday, and Ray might be on his own. Jeremy, I appreciate you as well. Y'all be safe. I'm going walleye fishing tomorrow. That's a northern, that must be up in the Northwest, walleye fishing. Very slow fish, very, very slow fish, very lazy fish. Peace out. Appreciate y'all.